Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dude's Brunch, your late night morning talk show where four people talk about four things they found on the internet. I'm your host, Taylor Olmstead. With me this week, like every week, it's my good buddy Tyler Reed. Hey Tyler, what'd you have for brunch today?
Hey everybody, and just like every week, I've had the usual, which is coffee emporiums, tasty delicious, bacon breakfast burrito with salsa, and a maple oat scone, toasted in a large black iced coffee.
Do you basically just live there now?
I was going to say, does the waitress know your name now and your order when you come in every day?
Well, see, here's the thing, is that when they ask for a name, I just say Reed because I'm a normal human being. Catherine, however, says Godzilla. And so they're just like, Godzilla, you're here. And I'm like, great.
Why do you give me your last name?
Because my first name has 2 syllables and only 5 letters, and it's sometimes hard for me to pronounce. And people are like, what was that? And I was like, it's just Reed.
Your name is Tyler.
You've had that name for like 25 years. How do you not know how to pronounce it?
I don't say it out loud very much, and I don't particularly like it as a constructed word.
Oh my god, shut up. Sean Evans is here. Sean, what did you have for brunch today?
I had Frosted Flakes and coffee.
Were they great?
They were more than great. They were great, idiot.
I'm glad to hear it. I wonder how many syllables are in great.
2, just like Tyler's name, but we wouldn't know it because he doesn't speak it.
Listen, you made me take the skeleton out of my closet. There you go. That's the turn of phrase. Is that a turn of phrase?
His first name is only 1 syllable, but he's here to talk with us again after a little bit of an absence. It's Zach Schockweiler. Welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to be back after my long-awaited vacation from Dude's Brunch. Woo! Today, guys, I was really killing it with my breakfast. I had old pizza from the night before that I didn't even order.
Winning.
That's
pretty good.
I'm not even ashamed of you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that because the actual reasoning behind it isn't as impressive as how it sounds. So I'm going to leave it at that, man. For the mystique.
You do you. Well, I'm your host, Taylor, and for brunch this morning, I had a sausage egg McMuffin, but I had it at 1:30 because I woke up at noon, ridiculously hungover. Spoiler,
what did you do last night?
Drank a moderate amount, but as you can probably tell from my raspy-sounding voice, I'm a little bit sick. I would not recommend getting drunk while being on decongestants and cold medicine, because that shit dehydrates you. It's so bad.
Did you go out last night?
No, we had people over here. We were just drinking and playing cards and stuff, but...
yeah, that's the problem. Never drink and play cards at your own place.
It's dangerous, especially when you're on cold medicine.
I did that one time, and I will never do that again, and you were there for that.
Yeah, I wasn't as bad off as you were that night, but I had a very hungover sausage egg McMuffin this morning, and it was about as delicious as it sounds. But enough about that. It's time to talk about our first topic, which is going to come from none other than Sean. Sean, what do you have for us?
So this week I want to talk about Bob Dylan. As you guys have probably heard from everywhere, I feel like Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize in Literature. I guess he was kind of a long shot. I don't know what I guess there's pools out there of who's going to win these things so that people bet on it. I like to see that. Maybe I should have done that instead of this, but whatever, maybe next week. So my first question is, okay, so I should say, when I did some research on Bob Dylan, it seems like the music that he produces is mainly called Americana. Do you guys listen to Americana? You guys familiar with Americana?
I'm familiar with Americana, as a term. If you told me I had to name 2 or 3 Americana artists, I could probably do it, counting Bob Dylan as one.
That's about as good as I can get. Apparently,
I concur.
Neutral Milk Hotel Is Americana?
Did you just Google her that? Google her that.
Fire up that Googler. Mumford & Sons, our favorite band. The Abbott Brothers.
I was gonna say I would have gone with like the Abbott Brothers or like
Decemberists.
Yeah, Decemberists, Secret Sisters, like
Zach Brown Band.
That's a stretch.
That's what it says. The Lumineers, of course. Trampled by Turtles, one of my favorites.
So basically, everybody's sort of familiar with it, but mostly Bob Dylan in terms of Americana. So my next question is: do you guys follow the Nobel Prizes at all? Do you guys like stay up all night and wager on who's going to be the winner of Nobel Prizes? Do you know anybody that does?
No, but there should be a fantasy bracket for it.
I think there is.
Really?
Google her that one. There probably is.
I think every year they announce who won the Nobel Prize, and I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot this is a thing we do every year. Like, I couldn't even tell you what time of year it normally happens in, had it not been this week.
Zach, anything? You follow the no? Are you a Nobelsman?
No, I'm not. I hear who wins. Never. I don't think I've heard of anyone winning the Nobel Prize for like years until this. And I still don't really care.
Jesus.
I'm just joking. I'm indifferent because it's whatever. Good for Bob Dylan. Good for him.
Tyler, for 5
Got
points. What hemisphere of Europe is Sweden in?
I mean, it's the Eastern, right?
Nice.
Want to get another guess?
Is it Southern?
No.
Fuck you.
Can you name one thing that comes out of Sweden besides Nobel Peace Prizes and fish? You cannot say fish.
Chocolate.
That's actually Swiss, but we'll let it go.
Yes. Army knives. No, it's the Swiss again.
Now I'm gonna have to leave that whole first segment in so people can get why this is so funny. All right, so sorry.
Hold the fuck. How about you tell me the prime export of Sweden, Taylor?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Always got to Google first.
What's the prime export of Sweden?
Taylor?
Prime export of Sweden?
Nobel Prizes.
Acting like he knows. Taylor, you're not even. There's nothing to think about.
I don't know. I feel like I did know, but I don't anymore.
Let's see.
Fire
Prime
up the
export.
Googler.
Here we go. Machinery and petroleum.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
All those northern European countries are big into oil. Okay, so back to the topic.
Oh wait, hold on. Okay. I had a misconception of what counted as the Eastern Hemisphere.
You just didn't know where it's at. You can say you didn't know where it's at. It's fine.
I know it's closer. It's pretty close to like Russia. It's on like that half. It's Eastern Europe. It's not like Spain. You know. I know
Sweden. It's not Spain.
That's right.
Okay. So, what did you guys think about Bob Dylan getting the Nobel? Did you have any opinions? Just curious.
I think it's well deserved.
Why?
Dude wrote a lot of important. See, this is like this. This is where the argument this week has happened. If you say a lot of important songs, people say, "Oh, well, songs aren't literature." But if you say a lot of important poems, then they say, "Oh, yeah, you're right. He was a very good lyricist." Like he was a writer who wrote some very important things, both culturally and politically. Whether you want to call them songs or poems or whatever, I don't know. I guess that's all in the eye of the beholder or whatever.
So I guess there's the Nobel Prize in literature, medicine, physiology, physics, chemistry, etc. So there's like different avenues, but there doesn't seem to be one that's specifically for music to begin with. So is that incorrect?
No, there's not.
Okay. So it's like, I personally don't have a problem with him getting it. I mean, I guess realistically, he's a big part of like, fuck it. Fuck everything I just said. My brain just shut off. I don't have anything to go with that. I've got nothing. But good for Bob Dylan. Everyone needs to shut up. The man did a lot of stuff. Let him have the award so maybe he can stop like showing up and, acting like a dick about all of his accomplishments. Seriously, fun fact, I'll see if I can find a link, but there's like a interview with him from like a while ago, and they were asking about his impact on like his generation and everything, and he acts like a total like dweeb about it. And he's just like, oh man, I was this man being a guy. I didn't intend for any of this. My songs don't mean anything. And the guy's like, are you fucking with me right now? You literally inspired like generations after yours. And he's like, hey man, whatever, man. And then there's a part that's completely off the rails. Is the last thing I'll say on it. But there is a part where they ask him, because you guys know that Bob Dylan isn't his real name, of course. So the guy asks him, so why did you want your name to change to, or why did you want to change your name to Bob Dylan? And his response was something to the effect of, it's America, it's a free country, do what you want. Some people born with the wrong names, and people born to the wrong parents. It's like, what the fuck? But no, congratulations to Bob Dylan. He deserves it.
I'm glad we let Zach hang on that for like seemed like an eternity.
Sorry. Cut all of it out.
Oh no, nope, I loved it. That was fantastic. Tyler, do you have any feelings about this?
Okay, so I'll go back in time. We know that bards we're the storytellers of days gone by, and so like I think literature in its earliest form did involve song because as people couldn't read, they had to have someone to tell stories. So I think in the most classical sense, I think that of course songs are stories, of course, of course. But I agree that it's sort of this middle zone where it's kind of like they've kind of taken on their own thing. They don't exactly have the same format, and it's like I'm trying to think of an example of like two like kind of closely related things that would be like it's this but not in this, but they're kind of the same. I'm trying to think of what would be a good example. Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if they had like a shit, what's another genre?
Well, there was like a lot of people who are upset that rappers are starting to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right. Which is, to be fair, if you probably trace the roots back, they probably relate in some way.
They do, yeah.
Of course, right. But it's like, well, at this point they've diverged so much that it's, it feels wrong almost to include them. But I think it's okay. I don't know why Bob Dylan was like the first guy to think of like who's the most important like musical artist of all time. I guess Bob Dylan, apparently.
I mean, I think if you had to pick one single person who's still alive, probably Bob Dylan.
I felt like I was really on the fence about this week, which is why I want to talk about it, because like Zach said, it's weird to think about somebody who kind of like just seems to just not really care that much for any kind of awards, even though he's like super decorated in terms of his music. But every time I hear somebody say that they don't think that he belongs and that deserves a Nobel Prize because he's a songwriter, it makes me just want to like rub it in their face that much more that he is. Just because I'm like, yeah, that's great. I was looking through all of the winners over history who have won prizes in literature from Nobel, and he is the first songwriter officially to be labeled that way. And what Tyler's saying too, like in that Wall Street Journal article that I posted, they were talking about Homer and stuff like that, and singing different works of what would now be considered literature and stuff like that. And I kind of like it. I think the reason I opened it up with "Do you guys listen to Americana?" is because I think that maybe if you had to take away the music and take away the lyrics, which I think the reason that I know that he wrote poetry, but I think I really feel like they kind of put poetry as the way to say like lyrics, to kind of legitimize a little bit more. That Americana would be the literary genre that he might fall into. And two, I really think that I like him being a Nobel winner, because I feel like sometimes, don't get me wrong, when you read literature, it's fantastic and it's full of depth and all this stuff, which is what kind of I've recently discovered and makes reading kind of fun. But when you're able to listen to music with literature, I think that it really adds a new component to it. So I don't know. Do you guys, what do you think about that?
I think that's really interesting because, we talk a lot about, like, the democratization of media, right? Like, media is more accessible to more and more people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think music in particular has always been, like, the most democratically available, like, form of media because, it's broadcast over the airwaves. You don't have to, like, pay a whole lot of attention to it to experience it. Like, you can just kind of hear it in the car or whatever. And so to give, like, this, the highest award in literature, essentially, to somebody who did their work in such an open space where anybody can experience it, like millions of people all over the world know Bob Dylan's songs, I think that's really powerful, and in some ways more powerful than just giving it to, like, a novelist. Because maybe not a whole lot of people, like, in other countries or whatever, got a translation of that book or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that people who don't speak English have heard, like, the times they are a-changin'. Did you have fun questions? Let's do
those.
I
did. Okay, so what category of Nobel Prize would you like to see? Oh my God, you guys think all the time now. Remember when this show was spontaneous?
Well, if I was being spontaneous, I would have said, like, something dumb like the Nobel Prize for farting, because I'm a shit human, and that's the first thing my brain goes to.
I want to see a Nobel Prize for...
Okay, smart Nobel Prize, dumb off-the-cuff Nobel Prize.
Got it.
Okay.
I want to see a Nobel Prize in design as my smart one. Any kind of design. I just think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dumb one, I want to see a Nobel Prize in think piece writing. Like, I want it to be Nobel Prize in journalism, parentheses, think piece.
And see,
so most of, like, Kotaku and Jezebel.
Exactly.
And everything would be in the running for that.
And anything on Medium.
Specifically on Medium. But I think the best part about the think piece category is that it has to be, like, really elegantly rewritten. It has to be, like, written really well, and then it has to have the moment where it's like this leap of faith that you have to, like, it, like, takes you off into, like, a conspiracy theory, and it has to, like, get you in so deep and then just blindside you, and you're like, God, that was a good think piece. Fuck. Maybe aliens are real.
Thanks, Tom DeLonge.
All right, Tyler, Zach, serious and joking.
Joke one, Nobel Peace Award for fan art.
Does fan fiction count as that as well?
Nope, just fan art.
Well, what if it's
we can have a subcategory. We can have an additional category. Fan interpretation. I say this jokingly, but I actually like it as a real category because I think that
joke and real, same thing.
It almost deserves a real place.
So, who's your serious one?
Because I tell you what. Here, Zach, let me tell you. Have you ever seen officially licensed Pokemon merchandise T-shirts specifically?
Oh,
Not great. Not good. you ever seen Pokemon fan t-shirts? Amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, we all have the duds. There was the Adventure Time, crossovers. We had the remix ones that were just a little too on the nose. You're like, I don't know, these don't relate to each other whatsoever. But the ones that are very like in fiction or like in the world that are very like feel like they like people from the world will wear it.
So I think my joke one would be something to do with children's art contests, but the thing is that only parents could submit their own children's stuff.
It's a signature though from a child.
Best finger painting from a 7-year-old.
Yeah, it would be something like that, but only the really proud parent could submit it. Like they had to think it was like the glorious, and then the Nobel Prize was chosen among that. And my regular one, well, I kind of have two. I don't want to like crap on Zach. I'm feeling that he probably would pick this one if I said it. My first one would be music. I'd love to see that happen. But my other real one that I like to see is comedy performance or comedy writing or something with comedy. I think that would be really cool.
There's no shitting whatsoever because I picked neither of those. Joke one. All right, serious one. I guess I would have to go with, honestly, just an actual, like, pioneering in extreme sports. I don't know why, but Rodney Mullen came into my head, and I was just thinking about the 360 flip and how cool that is. Very satisfying to watch. Non-serious joking ones. Overly chill with their shitty kid parents. Like talking to parents that just have a real great knack of just spacing out and letting their kid just tear the fuck up out of a gap. Like literally the kid's just like ducking under like changing room doors and fucking just ripping
just
things off the shelf.
Sweaters everywhere.
Yeah. Like give a Nobel Award to those fucking parents for just being complete slices of shit. I guess maybe that's the opposite effect of what anything of those awards is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a lifetime achievement, not like a lifetime fucking blunder. Well, 2 lifetime blunders, I guess, technically.
This is too real for me. I don't think I can really find it that comical all the way as much as I really should because it's just...
Too real?
It's too real.
Having flashbacks of the war zone. Alright, I've got our second topic this week, and I wanted to mellow things out a little bit and talk about ambient music. So, if you aren't aware of what that is, it's the kind of music that they play in airports, or elevators, or coffee shops. Basically...
Or credits for movie reels.
Or credits for movie reels, yeah. Basically, music without lyrics and with kind of minimal dynamic shifts, or little to no percussion, things like that. That's sometimes considered to be very boring. And I wanted to talk to these guys about it and get their thoughts on ambient music as a movement/genre. So, do you guys listen to ambient music?
No.
I do.
Is Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Oh my god, fuck you.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. I don't think intentionally. I don't think I do.
So I do intentionally listen to ambient music, quite a lot actually. I kind of got into it when I was younger. I found it through listening to Moby, and he makes a little bit of ambient music, and I just found it to be really relaxing, and I use it a lot when I'm like trying to sleep or trying to like write or something like that now. And so that was kind of why I wanted to ask you guys about it, because it seems like it's not a genre of music that a lot of people really even consider.
No.
Would you like to elaborate at all, Sean?
Okay. I don't really listen to ambient music that much unless it's at the end of a television show or particularly Game of Thrones. or if it's added to a album someplace. Not even into like, what is it called, like instrumental rock that much. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I just need lyrics. I'm a simpleton like that. I just really like lyrics. So yeah, there's my explanation. I think ambient, like what is it, John Frusciante, because Tyler's gonna hate on Red Hot Chili Peppers. I listened to a single from his new album and it was very ambient. I was like, all right.
Anybody else thoughts on ambient as a genre?
I enjoy ambient music. Typically, my main listening is typically ambient rock stuff. You know, like Explosions in the Sky or...
Not actually ambient.
I was going to say, I don't know if you can call that ambient. That's more just...
Can you not?
Like, instrumental.
It's post-rock specifically, but...
See, that's where
All right, I'm going to go kill myself.
That's
right. You
exactly.
guys never.
See, that's why I struggle with this, because when you see like Moby and he's going to be considered ambient, but then like Explosions in the Sky isn't considered ambient, I'm kind of like, okay, so this is really weird.
So it's not everything that Moby does that's ambient.
Right. Is it more electronic than instrumental?
So,
well, there was a specific album that he did.
Yeah, did you see that in the topic notes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, pull up the first track on that, and we'll.
But then I did a larger search on Spotify for ambient music, and I got a bunch of different stuff.
Well, and you will. You get, like, when you just search for ambient music on the internet, you get a bunch of shit that, like, really doesn't... It's not ambient. It's quiet instrumental music, right? So, generally, what's considered to be the first ambient music is Brian Eno's Ambient 1 Music for Airports. And it's like 4 tracks. They're all upwards of like 10 minutes long. And they're usually like short phrases on a piano, just repeated over and over and over and over for like 18 minutes. Ambient kind of builds from that, and you get some artists who incorporate like percussion or electric guitars or things like that. But usually, ambient has no like beat to it or anything like that. It's just kind of noise that happens to like follow a chord progression. Does that make more sense?
No.
I concur, because one of those albums you had, the Animal Hospital, it definitely bore a lot of resemblance to that album, because I listened to the whole fucking thing of that one, because it bore a lot of resemblance to like a good chunk of like Russian Circles songs and some Explosions in the Sky too. So that's where I'm starting to get confused, because there's overlap, a good deal of overlap with at least that one example you had.
Yeah, and I think Animal Hospital is like right on the edge there of like the instrumental rock and ambient like classification. That's kind of why I put that in there, because it's closer to Explosions in the Sky than something like Brian Eno is, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Bob Dylan won the Literature Nobel Prize. Let's just let
so anything's up
in the
for
Sky
grabs.
be ambient.
Right.
Like I don't want to sound like I'm like crapping on ambient music, but like sometimes I feel maybe this is me trying to discover exactly what it is, because I feel like if you on the new Radiohead album, if you took away the lyrics, I feel like
it
you
would
could
be
really end
an
up
ambient music album
with an ambient music album.
It would,
and it like you might have to totally re-evaluate how you review that album based on the lyrics. Like that's the pivotal thing that I feel like
you're absolutely right. Ambient music has definitely been a huge influence on Radiohead, and you can kind of hear it becoming more and more a part of their style as they move forward. But the inclusion of lyrics does kind of move them outside of that genre. They're like ambient adjacent.
Do you really think that ambient music is a tool, though?
That's what I wanted to talk about next. In his description of this new ambient record that Moby put out, he said he made it intentionally for people to like sleep to or meditate to or do yoga to, things like that. And that's why it's like aggressively minimal. There's no percussion. There's no like hard entrances. There's no dramatic shifts. It's very flat for like 4 hours. I think music in that way can be like functional. I don't know if I would call it a tool, but I mean, I use that album, Long Ambience 1, Calm Sleep, which is the longest fucking album title. I use that album all the time when I have insomnia. Like, it's downloaded to all of my devices because if I ever am in a situation where it's like the middle of the night and I just can't sleep, I just kind of pick up randomly wherever I left off in that album and it usually puts me to sleep.
I feel like calling something ambient music with the point of it being a tool to help you do something where you won't be listening to music seems really strange.
It is strange. I definitely don't disagree with you there. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like a lot of people don't approach music in this way, and I certainly didn't for the longest time.
Even when I listen to ambient music, it's really because I want to have music on. But I guess it doesn't really that doesn't really like counter anything you said. Because you want to listen to Moby, Long Ambient 1, Calm Sleep, because you want to fall asleep.
I liked your point there about you listen to it because you want to have music on.
Right.
Somebody once described ambient music to me as like, you put it on because you don't want your house or whatever to be quiet. Because music kind of like colors a space and fills a space in the same way that like furniture or paint on the walls does. And so it's almost like...
Interesting.
It's almost like an element of the space as opposed to like, you put on a Red Hot Chili Peppers record because you want to listen to Anthony Kiedis sing.
Yeah. But I feel like when I want to listen to music, that's what I want to do. I feel like I have what some people might call music OCD, and I'm a chronic skipper. Like if I don't want to listen to that song at that moment, it is gone. It is in the way, and I'll skip halfway through songs once I get to the part that I want to listen to. Like, nope, next. I don't know, maybe too, like self-examination. I like quiet, so.
See, I think for me it's like I use ambient music to combat quiet. Mm. Zach, I'm curious. It sounds like you kind of listen to music in a similar way, like when you're listening to Explosions in the Sky and Russian Circles and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but no matter what music I'm listening to, I'm typically trying to, as you said, combat the quiet in general, or combat some other type of noise. Specifically, though, admittedly, whenever I'm listening to something that doesn't have objective lyrics or anything like that, it's typically because I need to get work done, or I'm trying to do something where I'm not trying to be aware of some sort of narrative being told to me in a song, which is why something that's either ambient or instrumental ends up, I guess, kind of being somewhat like a tool, but not as, I don't know, God, it's just the whole little, like, even though it was like a blurb, the thing that Moby wrote just felt like really pretentious about like what he was saying. It's like, man, I don't know. I think it's fuck it, dude, just listen. I don't even know. But I have no constructed thoughts, guys, tonight. They just start slipping through my fingers of my mind's brain. I just think,
you know what really helps making constructive thoughts? Saying that you can't have constructive thoughts.
Yep. That's really great. Maybe I need to listen to some ambient music.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe that's why I don't like ambient, because hearing something in the background all the time, it's more of a bother for me than it is something that I need to have there. Like, if I can hear the air conditioner in the other room, that bothers me. If the vacuum cleaner and its constant drone bothers me. It's that kind of stuff that drives me crazy. I'd rather have silence and then focus on tasks at hand, turn on music and focus on that task at hand, or use music to put me in a particular mood that's usually not just like for the sake of being. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
Do you also need to sleep without like any sound or anything?
I mean, I can have like an AC on or something, but I can't really fall asleep with Netflix on or anything like that. Like, we have a rule, Sarah and I, that we have a screen-free bedroom, with the exception of phones because they're like alarm clocks. But other than that, like, we don't have a TV, we don't bring our computers in the bedroom, like, we don't do anything like that. We just leave that all out in the living room or someplace else.
I was trying really hard to be screen-free for the last hour before I went to sleep each night. That just became, like, too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think, like, screen-free definitely helps, but there are times where I just, like, my brain is so, like, pent up that I just need something to focus on, like, very minimally until I fall asleep. And that's where I usually use, like, ambient music or a podcast or something that's, like, just keep it at a really low volume so I'm still sort of hearing it, and it just allows me to focus. I don't know, does that make sense? It's like focusing on something to not focus on it.
Focusing on a screen to forget your irrational fear that every dream you have will be a nightmare. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yep, I mean, really, any night when you can avoid existential dread is really a good night. And instead, you fill it with monotonous bullshit about a competitive online children's card game.
Yeah, or a hockey game. That's how I soothe my fears.
Or, as my father used to do, ESPN.
It's great for keeping your thoughts out of the void. Tyler, what about you? Do you use, like, music as a tool?
As in, to, like, build a house, a fence, to fix a drain? No,
I hate you.
Sorry. I use music as a tool pretty consistently, I would say. I mean, I use it, I really like listening to it actively in the car, really like it during work. Specifically, like, ambient actually really kind of appeals to me because I don't like listening to a lot of things that have words when I'm typing specifically. So I find myself really, like I need to type something out, I usually put on something electronic in nature, or jazz or something like that. And then, I don't know, music when going to bed has been weird for me. I've mostly been doing, like I said, long-form YouTube content that I just kind of let play and just kind of fall asleep to that. I don't know. But generally, I think I don't... the stuff that you kind of gave me for in regards to like it as ambient music and stuff that I listen to, I don't know if I would. Wasn't particularly like engaging. Well, I don't think it's supposed to be engaging, but I don't know when I would listen to it. Maybe I would listen to it when I was typing, and I think that would be about the only context though. And that feels a little too specific. I don't know.
I don't think that's too specific at all. That was actually going to be kind of my final thought for this section is. We've all kind of talked about music and sound as part of context, like whether it's manipulating your mood or trying to drown out obnoxious sounds from the next room or whatever. Like, music becomes so contextual so easily. And I guess my question to you guys is, like, Tyler kind of already answered this. I use ambient music largely to fall asleep. And I was wondering, do you guys have a specific type of music or even a specific like band that you use only in like one context?
The first day of fall, I listened to Fleet Foxes.
So twee.
Just love that album so much.
The first Fleet Foxes album.
Yeah, not the second one.
Right.
I don't know, I guess, like, this is going to sound dumb, but when I was younger, there's, like, specific bands that I'd listen to when I just felt like being sad for some reason.
I don't
like,
think that sounds dumb at all.
There was just bands like that. Every once in a while, there's still bands like that. Not as much. Usually I'm just, like, trying to hear something that, like, sounds cool, or just, like, thought-provoking, so. And then every once in a while I'll be like, fuck it, let's put on, I don't know, Dashboard Confessional, go a little bit way back.
Her hair is everywhere.
Screaming infidelities. Now I'm talking like deeper cuts, dude. Like fucking what is that? Bitter Pill.
Hawthorne Heights.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, I was talking about like when you really just like you just feel like no one's home and you just want to start just like ripping your vocal cords out. That type of shit. It's good stuff.
In the fall, I get a lot more into psychedelic music and folk music. I feel like this just goes well. It just goes great with changing leaves. But generally, just because I go to bed at like 10:30 at night, I've been listening to the hockey game lately because the Caps don't start playing until about 8 o'clock, and they're usually down by 11, so I usually just fall asleep with the Caps game on.
No folk revival there for you, Sean?
No Mumford & Sons for Sean.
Hey, I heard that new album's pretty good.
The one that's not folk revival at all? Yeah, it's alright.
That's it.
It's actually pretty alright.
Anyway, so guys, Fraggle Rock, one of the coolest fucking shows ever, is coming back to TV. Unfortunately, not anything new. It's actually going to be kind of digitally remastered and return onto TV via HBO. So it's basically going to be like sharper picture, better colorization, et cetera, the usual type of stuff. I had said that I want to hear from you guys, basically your thoughts on basically if this like is something that interests you. Like, were you guys fans of this growing up? Do you even know what Fraggle Rock is, guys? I mean, come on.
I was too young for Fraggle Rock. It, just missed me. So I learned about it when I was much older.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm down with Fraggle Rock. Jim Henson's a badass. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I love me some Fraggle Rock. This is great. I think I used to get up in the morning and watch some Disney Channel. I have to watch the theme song right now because now I got stuck in my head.
Down Fraggle Rock.
It is one of the best kid show theme songs ever.
It's so good because it's got the clapping part in it. It's like everyone claps at that. It's so good. If your theme song has clap in it, it's a good theme song.
There was something about the idea of living in an underground city with all of your friends and going on adventures that was always really satisfying for me. I mean, I didn't like that the Giants wanted to eat the Fraggles, but
Sean is secretly a cave person.
I just remember as a kid, I always wanted to be one of the doozers wearing their construction outfits and eating fucking the crystals and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to watch it when it comes back on HBO, but...
Well, I guess the good news is there's no way they can cancel it. I mean, it's done. It's not like the new Muppet show, that they fucking didn't give that shit a chance. That just got fucking buried. Buried and forgotten. Partially because, I guess,
did you watch any of it?
Yeah, it was great. But, parents and stuff, I guess, were these subtle, dirty jokes are just not right. It's motherfucker,
see,
Gonzo fucks chickens. What the fuck do you want?
That's a Dude's Brunch shirt this week.
That's
motherfucker Gonzo fucks chickens.
It's true, man, and people want to get mad because of just some under the radar double entendres.
That's why I like the new a few episodes that I saw on television. I thought it was gonna be really childish. Why would they put this during prime time? But when you watched it, you're oh, okay, I get it now. It was actually pretty funny. It had some adult themes and stuff. It wasn't just I don't think it was ever meant to be a kid's show. Maybe that's what just messed it up, is because they tried to rework the franchise to make it all the Muppet movies and stuff like that, and it just wasn't that way. But I think there was even complaints about the Muppet movie, the new one, that it was too left. It wasn't just too culturally critiquing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something you actually want to take your children to go see.
I think everyone's kids should watch the Muppets no matter what. They're great. But anyway. Yeah, so, Tyler, Fraggle Rock.
What is a Fraggle Rock?
You don't know either?
Where do they live? No, I mean, okay.
No.
So I have a basic understanding. I have a basic understanding of what Fraggle Rock is. I approve of Muppet-based or puppet-based content, at least for the most part. And what I really have a question right off the bat is, so you're talking about the clapping in this intro sequence, but I'm pretty sure these are very soft-bodied creatures, and I don't think their bodies can make this kind of percussive sound with their hands clapping together.
Oh my god, Tyler, you're the worst.
Was Tim Henson an actor in the show? Was he the old man?
I don't know if he was. Let me look that up really quick.
He usually just does puppeteering.
Okay.
Yeah, he was not. It doesn't look like.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, but you have the basic understanding of it, Tyler.
Yeah, I just didn't have Disney growing up. And that was, I specifically remember, requesting to get Disney Channel from my parents, but that's not how the world works apparently. You can't just be like demanding you get Disney Channel when you're like 5. So that obviously didn't go over very well.
I tried the same thing with Sega Channel. The same result. Didn't happen.
Oh, I didn't get Nintendo until not Nintendo. I didn't get Nickelodeon until I was like 9. I know that feels, bro. I know that feels.
My parents didn't really want to take care of my brother and I, so we always had That makes them sound like so neglectful, but like we always had television.
And that's why Sean likes books.
Are they going to be the runners for, or in the running for that Nobel Prize that I talked about?
No. If we
Good.
got in trouble. Yeah, no.
Oh, Jesus.
We were never allowed to do that. Like, if we ever did that, we got yelled at. We got a stern warning. Stern yelling. We grew up in the Midwest in the 90s, man. that was I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm going to. That was like the Wild West of raising your children, you know? Like, you pretty much like we were free range still back in those days.
Getting so many beatings from belts. So many. With the buckle still on.
Oh my god, we're gonna have to cut all of this.
Well, there's gonna be a bunch of young parents out there be like, that's not right. They're joking about something that's just wrong. Well, you know what? I don't smoke meth. Because I got hit by a belt. I knew it was wrong.
Well,
you know what was on that belt buckle? Embossed letters that says "Don't do meth," and it's embedded backwards into my ass cheek. Sorry, off the rails. I'm fucking up. I'm always the shittiest guest. All right, silence.
What would you say it out loud like that?
So this obviously this show had a lot of cultural relevance when it was still in its like heyday. And do you think that with its return, despite it being, just essentially re-released, do you think it has the possibility of being culturally relevant? Or do you think it's going to be something that may just be kind of like go under the radar? Which, once again, they're not going to be able to cancel it because it's done. But it would be a shame if it doesn't like get any type of like resurgence of not only original fans and maybe new fans, of course.
I think it's gotta come back and be a little more relevant than it has been, just by the sheer nature of like running on TV. But we are seeing a lot of 90s nostalgia right now, and I think particularly as people like us who grew up in the 90s start having kids, they're going to start showing them things like Fraggle Rock. And I think particularly shows like that are going to hold up really well with our kids because they're not like tied to a specific time period, right? Like they live in a cave and they're like, it's the Fraggles and giants. Like there's nothing about it that can be dated because it's so magical and like otherworldly. And I think that makes it kind of stand the test of time.
I mean, no offense, but pretty much everybody was bigger compared to a Fraggle. They weren't really the biggest of creatures. They lived in caves underground and crawled through what might be sewers or mouse holes inside of an old man's garage. So, I never really understood how the giant Fraggle universe and the human universe interacted with one another. Because the giants and the humans never really come in contact with one another.
That's right, they never did.
So, like, conspiracy theory that Fraggle Rock was actually a wormhole and the Fraggles were actually, some might say, fragging in between dimensions. Yeah? Yeah? What do you think?
That could be plausible. Mainly because there's not anything on the show that says that isn't true.
Yeah, why not?
I just always like the, actually, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. Cause what was it? There was the Explorer. There was the Explorer Fraggle. I forget his name. But he'd always have his thing where he like sent in the postcard and like his like the main pink haired one, I forget his name, would always like read the postcard and then it would like zoom in on the postcard and then it would fade into like the segment of like his explorer uncle, like going like the pyramids of Giza and things like that. I don't know. That sounds like a pretty solid, conspiracy theory. Now, I'm not going to say theory because, the kids say theory. That's good. Conspiracy theory. Whatever, that was the dumb joke.
Why do you choose
I have
to be the way
never
you
heard
are,
a
Zach?
kid say that, ever.
I think what he's referring to is that in today's teen environment, they like to shorten words to make them sound hip, like burger to berg.
That's a pretty solid one, though. I'm not going to lie. Berg.
Hey, let's go eat some bergs.
Or, hey, let's go down to Fraggle Rock.
I'd be all about getting up on Saturday morning and watching some Fraggle.
Dude, it'd be so. Actually, that's actually another thing. It's been pretty. Everything about this has been pretty non-specific. They're basically like, hey, fucking all 5 seasons are gonna be coming back sometime in 2016. It's like, guys, we got like 3 months left.
So we're running out of time.
I mean, they do own it. So it's not like they're just not going to not do it, because it's like, well, do we want to make some money, guys? Yeah.
I don't know. Is HBO really going to draw that much of a crowd from remastering Fraggle Rock?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like them re-releasing the fucking Spawn cartoon. Like,
right, it'd be like if Hulu wanted to redo all the after-school specials.
I think they will. I really do think they will. Because they have all of Sesame Street now. Not just the new stuff, but like the whole historical archive of Sesame Street is on HBO. And so I think they're really trying to like play up the idea that getting HBO isn't just for movies with the boobs still in them. It's like where you go for premium entertainment for the whole family.
Nah. No.
I'm not saying it's a great idea, but I think that's what they're doing.
And then
I totally see what you're saying, but there's absolutely no way that because we have HBO here, and if I had a kid here, there's no way I'm just gonna let my kid sit down in front of my Roku and be like, oh yeah, just go on HBO and go to the kids section and watch whatever you want to do, because like 2 clicks under the HBO kids section is late night HBO. And
Naruto hentai.
And there's just too much going on there. There's just too much.
There are a lot of risks.
Or they could turn on Game of Thrones. I don't know. Or Westworld for all that matter. Like, it's just. Or John Oliver or Vice News. Maybe maybe that's worse.
Vice News is definitely worse.
If they watched Vice News, I mean,
that's how you kill childhood innocence, right?
That would fill their heads with all kinds of nutso ideas that you could just never. I mean, like, you could never get that out of there. Like, there was something stupid this week on Vice News where it was like somebody living in New York that paid like $4,900 a month to live in what is essentially a dorm. That was a train ride away from his business. I was like, no.
God.
That already exists. It's called assisted living, and old people do it all the time.
Anyway, Fraggle Rock.
Anyway, back to Fraggle Rock, where technically all the Fraggles could live in a home that size and be quite comfortable. I guess the closing thing on this is just, so they're bringing back Fraggle Rock. I mean, what do you think the next step is for like all these Henson production like type things? Where would you like them to go from here? Because like I said earlier, we got the Muppets back briefly and then they were taken away. We're getting Fraggle Rock back remastered. I mean, what would you hope they do if this actually kind of takes off? New episodes of Fraggle Rock, or maybe even like an Avengers of the Henson universe? I don't know. A Henson-verse.
Well, to be fair, the only reason I feel like the new Muppet show is canceled is because it pretty much went against like the sort of almost the brand guideline of the original Muppets, and like I feel like the original show did a really good job of being like mature and relevant without like, I don't know,
Using double entendres?
Sure.
Listen, dude had sex with chickens, pigs can't make love with frogs. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just confusing our children. Their feeble minds are already so weak.
I'm going to side with
Right.
Tyler on this. I think New Muppets broke a lot of conventions with old Muppets, which made it hard to keep it around as a show. It also just didn't make a whole lot of sense plot-wise. So, the original Muppet Show, right? You are watching the Muppets do a show called The Muppet Show. And it's like a variety show. And there's a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff, but for the most part, you're watching what would take place on the stage. Present day, The Muppets is like a 30 Rock style comedy that takes place in an office where they produce The Muppet Show, the stage variety show.
Where Kermit also wants to kill himself.
Yeah, and Kermit's really sad. Like, really sad.
I mean,
Emo
disproportionately sad.
Yeah. Like, there's just so much wrong with that. I don't know why they had to go so far away from the original concept and make it so 21st century. Like, short of having cutaways where each character talks straight into camera, Modern Family style, I don't know how much more millennial they could have made that. And they went too far. Which sucks, because I'm with Zach. I think having the Muppets on TV again would be awesome. But they gotta find a better way to do it, because that was pitiful.
Ouch.
I have strong feelings about the Muppets, okay? Not Jason Segel strong, but strong.
I hope they just let it go. I hope they just remaster it, put it on there, try and build up the HBO as a brand that has both adult and kid entertainment, and they just let it go.
You don't want to see new Fraggles?
No. No.
Fair enough.
I feel like if they could definitely let it be what it is, because I feel like we don't need any more like childhood memories like desecrated. Like, please just let something stay sacred for a fucking second. Like, if they see that there's a consistent like desire for like people to like to watch this kind of content, they could just make a show named something different that's within those same like it's. I don't understand what's wrong with that.
Cool. Right on. Any final thoughts on that from anybody?
Good topic.
Kind of.
Good topic.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It was good for two of us. The other two, they're just like, oh, Fraggle Rock.
Well, when you say it out loud like that.
Guys, I hate myself. Well,
It
when
was-
you say it out loud like that.
It's just fine. Zach, it's just fine. Just fine. Things happen.
I'll be right back, and then we'll hate on the Renaissance Festival.
Great.
All right, everybody, our last topic this week comes from Tyler. Tyler, what are we talking about?
Hear ye, all who listen to my words. I have a tale to tell you of love, excitement, glorious battle, the annual Renaissance Festival, which if you aren't aware, is a annualized event that takes over about roughly the months of September and October. There's usually one in every state. There's specifically one in Ohio. I had to do a quick little Google to make sure there was at least one other one that existed. There is. And so pretty much what it is just they sort of build this giant castle in the middle of the cornfields of Ohio. They just fill it up with entertainers, vendors, food, drink, and entertainment. And people can just walk around. There's sword fights and jousting and traditional entertainment. And so one knows, have you done this before? Have you been to a Renaissance Festival before or something similar?
I have been to a Renaissance Festival, the Ohio one specifically, multiple times over the years. It's always a good time. A lot of really great actors on cast. A lot of really good events that go on. A lot of good food, especially this year. overpriced a little bit, kind of. But yeah, it's really good. I will say, however, I do get more excited than the fun I usually actually have there lately. And that's mainly because I get really frustrated because I'm older. And I just fucking, for whatever reason, within the past, like, 4 or 5 years, I just really don't like being asked, like, by the random, like, people walking around trying to sell shit anymore, because some of them can get aggressive with it, with their selling points. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other tangent for another time. But yeah, no, I go. It's fun. It's really good.
I've never been. I don't really have any desire to go. It's a thing people do.
That's right.
It's a thing that people do.
I'm going to take Taylor's point to the next level and just go with a no.
Okay. Well, since we've already discussed this in the pre-show, we might as well just end the show. Bye, everybody. Bye. Hey, everybody. You can find my work at TylerTV. You can find me at socials as TDRDesign on Instagram and Twitter. You should also follow the RocoTR on Twitter for any updates on board games and events going on. See you next week, guys.
Right now. No, I guess I'll tag myself in for this. Sean, why are you so opposed to it?
I don't like to go to places where people are in costume and pretending that they're different from a different time. Like, insert any kind of historic village here. My parents are frequenters of the historic villages, and it wasn't until I got to college that I actually enjoyed going to them. And not because I actually enjoy going to them, I just really enjoy trolling the people that are like the weekend warrior historians there. And when they ask me dumb questions, I respond to them with the correct answer and then ask them a question that's like 12 times harder than they would ever imagine to know about that particular event, just because I have to be a jerk like that. I remember we went to this old-timey place, and there was a printing press, and the guy was like, "What's the most printed book ever made?" And I was like, "The Bible." And he was like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "I took art history in college, just the intro class too." So, yeah, it's like, no, I just can't. I can't stand it. Like, I don't like it when people aren't people. You know, like we are deniers of whatever. That bothers me a lot. Like, I know that this woman gets in her car and drives home to her family and turns on lights. So, don't. Just don't mess with me, okay? Like, if I want to go somewhere and have a turkey leg, I'll just do it myself. And if you want to, like, parade around and do cool stuff, that's fine. But when I ask you for a beer and you're like, "What is beer?" I'm like, nah, I'm done. I'm going home. Like, nah. Mm-mm.
I'm with Sean. It's not necessarily, like, I don't go around antagonizing the historians, because that's mean. But, yeah, like, if I come up to you and I ask you for a beer or for some food or whatever, and then I try and pay you with real cold hard American cash, and you try and do a little bit with me about, like, not paying you in gold doubloons or whatever, I'm just like, no. You take my damn money and you give me some damn chicken. Like,
I'm gonna be real with you right now. No fucking person does that at the Renaissance Festival because they want your goddamn money. Because, listen, they don't make enough money there.
I know, but it's the concept of it, right? It's just like, I don't really want to fuck with reenactors. Like, they can just go do their thing, and I'll stay at home and drink beer here.
Yeah. I guess I should say, and that's sad because I just like royally hated on this stuff. Like, I don't mind those people, and I'm happy that they can, like, go to their thing and, like, fulfill their fantasies. That's fantastic. I actually asked Sarah if she would still love me if I ever became somebody that was, like, I don't know why this occurred to me one day. Maybe I was, like, delusional. I had runner's high and was drunk. The thought occurred to me that I might be somebody who might go, like, do one of those real-life founding father scenes or something. And I made her promise that she would still love me if I ever did that. And she said yes. But if she ever, like, said no, I would have to, you know, I would feel ashamed of myself. But
Okay, so sure, basically both understand the most entry-level, like, argument about going to these places. Great. We understand. You don't like people heckling you. Nobody fucking likes that. Okay, so with that being said, I mean, there are people that have like these almost like these strange skills, such as like literally jousting, literally sword fighting, fire eating, you know, like in these like performances. And so I'm kind of almost interested in the idea of like kind of what Sean was saying, like, so like these guys like joust and real, like that's part of their job. And then they go home and then they go to a place with the lights on. I do think that there's something actually really interesting about that.
Well, and what's interesting to me is that those hobbies can only be like taken seriously in the setting of the Renaissance Fair. Like, we just can't do, like, we can't mentally separate jousting from the Renaissance. And so therefore you have to dress up in frilly tights to joust. Like, why can't jousting just be a normal hobby that you can do year-round, wherever?
I feel like somewhere in America, maybe not in the open, similar to a fight club, there is a jousting club. And there's probably people that get together on a regular basis and joust. And they come to work and they say, what did you do this weekend? And they're like, I don't know, fight club. But it's funny, and it is like, marry me, because it gives people to not ask you questions anymore. It's just like, but really, they were jousting.
So
it has to exist.
Is the first rule of Joust Club, don't talk about Joust Club?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I recall that these people actually, they either travel or they are like consistently do like events like this.
So they're like rent-a-carnies.
Well, when you have to put it in the most insulting way possible, yes.
Well, there's some acts, like I know at the Ohio one this year, and actually they've been there subsequent years for like a while, the Kamikaze Fireflies, they're like a vaudeville act. They're not necessarily Renaissance whatsoever, but they do travel around to other festivals and stuff like that. So yeah, that is, for a lot of them, I'm sure they do. But I'm pretty sure most of the cast and stuff are just local for this one.
Yeah, no, I feel like that, like, I remember my brother, he knew a girl in high school that was like a belly dancer at the Renaissance Festival. And that, like, that's what she did, like, all the time. They would go to the Renaissance Festival on the weekends and, like, do belly dancing.
I mean,
everybody's got to have
cool.
hobbies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hobby that you get paid for, so it's not really a hobby. That's called a job, Taylor. I mean, it's a job for only like a couple months, but I mean...
Valid.
I mean, listen, we're talking about a guy that literally works at a place where my job is to teach people how to play board games, so I guess maybe I'm in a different... I have a different sort of appreciation for these...
Demarcations here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tyler and Zach, convince Taylor and I why we should go to a Renaissance festival. What about Renaissance festivals makes them redeeming?
They usually just have a lot of like different like programming going on, like different acts and things like that. Like one of the acts I just mentioned that's at the Ohio one is the Kamikaze Fireflies. Literally like juggling fire, dude makes a sandwich with his feet, bunch of cool shit like that. There's like the Theater in the Ground, which is like, it's a mud show, which is essentially they do like truncated, completely not correct 30-minute versions of famous plays, but in a pit of mud. And it usually results in like the front few rows getting splattered with mud. I don't know, it's just fun. It's just interesting. It's obviously not historically accurate, especially when they have Time Traveler's Weekend and you have a million fucking Doctor Who's. But it's just fun. It's fun until you have some guy trying to really press you into buying a rose for your girlfriend for like $5. Then it sucks. But majority good.
I think it's a very low impact sort of weekend of like a day of entertainment. Like I recently went to the zoo and I saw almost literally no animals doing anything exciting.
Oh my god.
What was the most redeeming quality? Like some lions were doing some like enrichment with a ball and I was like, wow. And I saw like some otters like swimming around and shit and rubbing against the rocks. So I mean it's like I think the Renaissance Festival offers like sort of almost just a menagerie of like entertainment that's like if you like sort of at least acting at least a little bit, and at least for me, it's sort of like nice to see almost these ancient skills sort of like being used in a way. Because, I mean, as a child, I was very fascinated with jousting and sword fighting, generally that time period. And so, it's really cool to see people actually sword fight. I mean, there's a lot of skill that goes into it, and I guess it's like all the practice that probably goes into it to prepare for it. I think it's really impressive. I mean, is it the best thing in the entire world? Does it kind of get samey after a while? But I mean, I think it has its own charm. I think it's unique, and I think it's interesting, and I think it's good to support, these people doing the thing that they love.
Is there an entrance fee to go to the Renaissance Festival?
I think it's like $20, something like that.
Do you have to pay for parking?
Yeah, it's like $3 usually.
And then, okay, so I'm just trying to do some, cost. Okay, so, $3 for parking, $40 for entrance. And then, how much is a beer?
Like 4 to 5 at the lowest usually. Usually like bar price.
And then food options?
Depends on what you're getting. Usually you're going to be paying at least 10 for a full meal for one person.
Okay. Just assume I'm going to get the classic meal. Like I'm going to go there and do the stereotypical experience.
Get a giant turkey leg. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, what am I getting and how much am I doling out?
Turkey leg I think is like 6, 7. You also have to keep in mind that a lot of these festivals definitely have, deals that go on. Like, I know you can go through, Kroger and get your tickets at a discount sometimes. Right. Also, there are, buy one, get one weekends, which if you were ever thinking about doing the Ohio one specifically, that's the time I would try to do that if you're taking your significant other for the first time, since it sounds like you have some skepticisms of how much fun you might have.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, yeah, and bathroom situation. These are important things for me. What are the bathrooms like there?
Porta potty.
However, the women's one recently has been upgraded to, a super nice, unibody trailer bathroom. So they still get the good stuff, or they get the newer good stuff. The men still have the singular porta potty. But there's, the foot pump sinks. They're outside of those. So you get to wash your hands and stuff. You don't get dysentery. It's not, like I said, it's not historically accurate.
That's right. It's not the Oregon Trail.
I think what it really comes down to, and I'm pretty sure I speak for Sean on this as well, I am not that interested in this time period, this period of history. And I feel like if you don't have an interest in, knights and castles and swords and, all that stuff, then this isn't going to be fun for you. And that's, how I feel about why I've never really gone to it.
That's a fair point.
That's right. If only we had said that from the beginning instead of a giant shit fest where he just no. Next question.
I was open to it. I was hoping there has to be one around here in Washington D.C. It has to be someone because I know Sarah said her boss said he was going to the Renaissance Festival this weekend.
Well, then maybe you can go and report back.
No. That's because, I work on the weekends, so...
Looks like the closest thing to you is the Renaissance Festival of Maryland.
Where's it at in Maryland?
Annapolis.
Oh, that's not far away. That's a half an hour.
Yeah. They somehow got the domain of just simply renfest.com for theirs, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they were always inaugurated in 1977, so maybe,
one of the
pre-OG.
ones.
Yeah.
So maybe this one might be worth going to if we're going to go to it, yeah?
But yeah, they probably have their shit down on lock. I'm looking at some of the stuff they're offering.
The Ohio one just says Ren Festival, which is also pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good for domain names.
Didn't even have to use Ohio in it.
That's
good SEO.
Yeah, that is actually the thing that's cool about most Renaissance festivals too. Is they have a general storyline that you get to follow when you watch the main programs that go on. Usually and they don't make any sense. I think the Ohio one has Sir Francis Drake and at one point had Shakespeare in it too with him. It doesn't make any sense why these characters are there together.
Look, man, if you're going to the Renfest, continuity is not your primary concern.
Yeah.
No, there is no satisfying ending.
You all
Every week, I just try to bring my own little piece of things that I experience in my world, and every week it's always hey Tyler, everything you like is fucking stupid. You have a great fucking
No.
day. Get out of here.
That's not
I
true.
was just
next
about to
week.
round out that topic. If I was in Cincinnati and all of us were there, and you guys wanted to go to a Renaissance festival, against my wallet's advice, I would go with you. And I would probably enjoy it because you guys were there. Oh my god, there's a dude wearing a mask. Oh my
That's
god.
right. Just like the one year we were all supposed to go to Bunbury together, and then it was just me and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just alright.
I'm actually still disappointed we didn't get to hang out when you guys were actually here.
Next time.
Hey, that's their fault, not me.
No, I think Sean's right. If I was going with a group of people, I would probably enjoy it. But I'm not going to go of my own volition.
Yeah, I'm not taking Sarah. Sorry, Sarah.
I don't think anyone in the world is ever going to be like, hey, you know what's a good idea? I'm going to go Kings Island by myself. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, those are fucking serial killers. That's who does it.
Sir, who are you with? No one. I'm here by myself. Tango, we gotta kill it.
Getting one of those giant cotton candies by herself. She's a fucking mad woman.
Now it's time to round the show out like we always do with a round of shameless plugs. We're going to start with the saddest little boy of the podcast, Tyler Reed. Tyler, I'm sorry we said mean things about your topic. Do you have anything you want to plug this week?
Oh, yeah, I already did that, everybody. It's fine. Continue.
That's right.
I ended this podcast like 10 minutes ago. It's fine.
Sean, shameless plugs from you.
Check me out on sevans8910, 78910. God, that's such a good Twitter name. Oh my god, I'm so proud of myself. And on Snapchat as well. Please follow me so you can see all my awesome snaps, and I can see your awesome snaps because I'm like 6 years late to the party, and I want to be the life of it. So please, please help me.
Zach, it's always good talking to you. Where can the people find you?
You can find me. I actually changed my handle on everything, guys. So moving on up, it is now at Shonkadamus. That is ShonkAdamus, like Shonkweiler and Nostradamus together. My only prediction is that I will die a very non-flattering death. That wasn't funny. What did I say about it? You can also check out my podcast, The Ordinary Folk Podcast, which the handle for that is at Ordinary Folk FOU. You'll find the links. It's okay. I've made bad choices on my handles. I don't regret it. It's okay.
What's the most flattering way to die? Just out of curiosity, since we don't have to listen to Tyler's rambling.
Comfortably in my own bed, I guess. You know, from like something just, I don't know,
age or whatever.
from or either that or, you know, carbon monoxide leak. That's like an okay way.
A well-fought sword fight.
A well-fought sword fight, you know, dying valiantly. I don't know, maybe eating a little too much and choking on like a really good sub. That's not too shabby.
Specifically a really good sub.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
eating...
like let's be real. If you choke on like a bologna sandwich and die, that's pretty shitty. But if you like choke on like Montgomery Inn ribs, that's cool. At least you were eating something nice.
Someone actually died from trying to eat a cheeseburger whole.
Cheeseburger whole?
Yeah, in one bite.
Who the fuck? Why would you not want to savor that son of a bitch? Like it's why?
You guys realize that we just like went so off the rails that we like went off the rails. Hurley built another 2 pairs of rails, got on them, and then hopped off of them again.
You can follow me on Twitter at TC Olmstead. You can like the show on Facebook and follow us. We're at Dudes Brunch. And if you made it all the way through this episode and want to say nice things about us, you can do that by leaving us a review on iTunes. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you next week for more brunch. Rock, Sean. What's so funny?
It's the return of Giggle Party. He's back. Bigger than ever. Giggle Party's new show.
Keep going.
I have to say it again because you keep laughing. As
You know
I
what
say
it
the
is?
sentence.
It's when Tyler makes faces at you right before you go and do stuff. That's always what it is.
Can't wait for this to happen.
I wish I could forcibly turn people's cameras off.